What's up, everybody? My name is Michael Skinner.
Hey, I'm Gabe.
How's it going? It's Stefan.
And welcome to episode 3 of Voices from the Inkwell. We're very happy to have you guys today, and we have a lot to get into. Obviously, have a new face here, so I'll let you actually go first. We have Stefan joining us, and most likely will be joining us for the time being, as long as he'll be here, as long as he'd like to show up and then hang out with us.
I'm happy to be here. I know that, I was part of the conversations when you guys first started, and, I was glad to see that you guys went ahead just because of how busy my schedule was. But now that I have a little bit more time, I'm happy to finally jump on with you guys and talk Lorcana.
I appreciate you being here. And Gabe, what's going on with you? How you feeling?
I feel good, actually. I'm going through like an existential crisis right now. So last week I told you that I was going to be going to Charlie's collectible show, and now this week I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to go. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of like torn. Like I want to go, but I don't want to go. Everyone's telling me it's a dead format, and then like, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. So I'm just feeling a lot of emotions right now about Lorcana.
Understood. I like the jersey, by the way. Repping the Mai Tais.
Yeah, Mai Tais, baby. Let's go.
Very
Mai,
nice.
how's it going?
All right, right. Shout out to Mai. Very awesome. We got to get you one next, Stefan. We got to get you a Mai Tais. Do you want to get to be on the team? You could be number 28. I'm 26. Gabe's 27. You could be 28.
If 16 is open, I'll take it.
If 16, well, I'll try to negotiate 16, but I don't know. I don't know if that's on the table. So before we get into our topics for today, I just wanted, obviously Stefan's new here, and I just wanted to give him kind of the floor here just to kind of tell a little bit about himself. I know this is kind of like a generic thing on podcasts, like tell us about how you got started in TCGs, but I'm going to ask you to tell me how you got started in TCGs. Obviously, you have a background in production as well, so just tell us a little bit about yourself and your kind of your journey with the card games and Lorcana in general.
For sure, yeah. I started card games in like high school, right? So I went to a school that was very close to a store in Sunrise called Tate's Gaming Satellite, right? And my first card game there was a game called Shadow Fist, which is now
Shadow Fist.
Yes, it was a cult classic.
It was a card game.
Yeah,
okay.
Look it up. Right now, it's a kind of like a game in a box model, but prior to that, it had the traditional starter decks and booster packs, and it was actually a really good game for multiplayer.
I'm gonna have to look this up. How long ago was this? You said you were in high school.
High school,
no,
so
you don't have to give away your age, bro. You're not gonna dox
fine.
you.
I'm good, but
I'm just surprised I've never heard of it because I've played a lot of TCGs and I've never heard of Shadow Fist, so that's an interesting one.
No, it's definitely interesting. And then when that game started dying out, I got into a game called Versus System.
Yep.
So I started during I think the first set was Marvel Origins, then DC Origins, and then I think what happened is they alternated each property.
Yep.
And I think the last set that I played very heavily in was the set that the Avengers came out.
That's awesome. Yeah, that game was awesome, and I'm sad to see that game eventually, met its demise. But I have people to this day still talk to me like Versus, remember Versus? And yeah, it was a fantastic. That game is much more notable than Shadow Fist. I think that one I recognize for sure. And then from there,
and it was a great game to play. Like we just again in high school, not a lot of obligations, so just played it nonstop. We were like, what do you guys call the meta goblins, right? So just chasing, like I played Curve Sentinel all the time, right? And that was like the deck. Sentinel was great fun. Because it was like the Ruby Amethyst. Like all you had to do when a new set came out was put like the bomb in the 7-drop slot, and that's the deck.
I remember there was like a crazy Magneto in the first set and all this stuff. So yeah, that game was.
I was a big Sentinel player. I like pooping out a bunch of Sentinels.
So you did the vomit deck, right? Where you put the Sentinels in the resource row, and you had the underground Sentinel base. And I can recall a lot of those cards surprisingly.
Yeah. I have the most random memory from Versus System. We were playing at this LAN cafe that it wasn't even made for TCGs, but they were just like host versus nights, so we could go play. And funny enough, Stefan and Gabe will recognize this name, Mr. Ramiro, who I've not seen in a while, but is involved in the TCG community, and he's kind of been absent for a bit, but I've known him for a super long time, and we were battling for cards. We would take rare cards, and like we're gonna 1v1 each other. Winner gets to take the card. And I'll never forget, like, I had to battle him for a Sabretooth, which at the time, like, Sabretooth was like a money card. And I ended up beating him and taking the Sabretooth. And I don't know why, out of all the memories that I have of Versus, like, that's the one that sticks out. But yeah, I wish I still had my cards, but unfortunately I don't have them anymore. So
Yeah.
and then from there, where'd you head?
So yeah, so after that, there was a brief break. I went more into board games, just because it was less expensive at the time, or at least that's what I was told, which is not true.
Yeah, especially not now.
Yeah,
It's a trap.
so
It's gotten even worse.
I was very heavily into board games, especially once I think it was Hurricane Wilma. That was the one that kind of affected our area the most. So we were without power for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I had just purchased my first ever board game, the World of Warcraft board game. So we played that for hours on end. We were all like my friend group at the time, we were all playing World of Warcraft and obviously couldn't with the power being out. So the board game actually did a really interesting implementation of what you would expect. And I'd say like it captured a lot of the gameplay you would expect when implementing that in a board game. And I actually still have that copy. The box is gone, but I put everything in like a nice storage
Ziploc.
Yeah, you actually, I'm gonna take a picture the next time I'm in the storage unit. Like everything's in Ziplocs. It's in pristine condition, and I'd love to pretend like I'll have the time to play that game again.
Yeah, I have a Lego collection, and all like the leftover like Lego pieces and the booklets are all in there assigned like little Ziploc bags, and then I have a little box with all the Ziplocs. So yeah, Ziploc. Shout out to Ziploc.
It's so cute.
Nice.
Ziploc coming through.
And then super fast forward, I had my friend group at the time. They all kind of started, growing their families and departed their different ways across the US. And then it was just my wife and I. Right. And we had kids of our own, and it was really hard for us to sit down and play like super crunchy board games that we were used to. So I was visiting Cool Stuff at the time, and I walked in with the intention of just trying to find like 2-player board games. And I just so happened to walk in during the release of Disneylorcana. So I looked at the starter decks, and there were 3 at the time. So I picked up 2 of them. And my original intention was to just play it as a board game, right? So like, this is the deck, this is the other deck, that's it. And I'll always bring it up whenever I'm asked. I think the best marketing they ever did for that game was include a booster pack in the starter deck, because that's what got me hooked. And from there, the rest is history. I was playing in locals every week, from my Ruby Emerald Evasive deck.
Oh, I don't know that. I've only ever known you as Amber Steel player, so I didn't know you at your Ruby Amber.
Well, so the Ruby Emerald Evasive deck that came out, that came out in the first set. It just reminded me a lot of like Magic Flyers, right? Yep. So like
Pongos and Tinkerbells.
Exactly. So you just pop in a bunch of evasive characters, and then if the opponent doesn't have immediate removal, that there's nothing they can do.
Yep.
Which removal at that time was very sparse. We had Dragonfire and
Be prepared.
Be prepared. Fire the cannons.
Remember Surfer Mini, where the only way to kill her was to play your own Surfer Mini and then like grab it and then like run into the other Surfer Mini. It was like
what a waste.
The most ridiculous situation ever.
What a waste.
Yeah, it was crazy times. So you actually didn't have Lorcana on your radar like when it was in Gen Con and being hyped up or anything like that. You just kind of happened to stumble in at the right time.
Yeah, no, and it was it was really enlightening. It was I had been feeling a kind of way because of like all my friends like leaving and stuff like that. And my wife, like, she's like, I'll watch the kids. You go play, go hang out at Cool Stuff, go to locals and stuff like that. And I'm so grateful she did, because like, look at the opportunities that have come from it, right? Sure. I got to meet a new group of friends with a similar interest, and even though some of us do have kids and other obligations and stuff like that, we still find time to meet up during locals or big events and stuff like that, and not only play the game but like catch up. And it's just it's been such a rewarding experience, and something that I never expected when I first started playing.
For sure. Yeah, you definitely made strides. I would have never guessed that. Obviously you played some TCGs before, but I would have never guessed that you just kind of got into Lorcana on a whim. Do you have a relationship with Disney in general? Like, how did you grow up on Disney movies? Are you one of those fake Disney fans like Zach Bivens, who's never seen a Disney movie? Or tell me.
So I will say my family is a Disney family, but I was the least amount of a Disney fan until this game came out.
Interesting.
Then I wanted to just dive in. I'm like, oh, I've never watched this movie. So like I've spent time with my daughter to like watch the movies for the new properties that come out. And now like either being caught up and like, we see Big Hero 6 and Encanto and stuff like that. Those have already come out. We've already caught up with those. So it's just, I will say I'm a bigger fan now. And it's been very rewarding.
I think that's something cool about the game. Like, a lot of people play the game because they know the characters from the show, or the movie. But actually, a lot of times people like don't know these characters, so they go back and watch the movie or the show. So like it kind of transitions both ways. People come from the movies, and then people that play the game go to the movies to see them and find out like who is this character, like who the heck is Madame Medusa, or whoever this character is. So I think it's really cool that the game is able to kind of transition over with the movies, and there's so much good flavor, right? Like so many of the cards in the game do things that they would do in the movies, and it's like the way that they translate it is really, really cool. So so you've been enjoying Lorcana, and it's been a long journey, but now we have rotation coming up, which we'll be talking about in just a bit. So I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your history. Do you have a favorite card in Lorcana by chance?
Absolutely. My favorite card, without a doubt, is Prince Naveen, the ukulele player. I think that card, everyone tells me it's a trap. You see it performing very well recently.
It's a trap.
It is not.
I remember when the Canada played 4.
Until you have a board that has been cleared and your opponent has a deep sigh of relief, and then you have a Prince Naveen and along came Zeus to steal back tempo, there's no better feeling than that. And I will die on that hill.
Okay. I've actually, now that I ask you, Stefan, I've realized Gabe and I, I'm not going to get into our whole stories at the moment because we don't want to keep, this episode super long. But Gabe, I have never asked you, what is your favorite card? Do you have one on the top of your head?
Oof. Oh, not honestly, no. I don't really have like a favorite card.
Or like a card that you feel like is in a lot of your decks that maybe like is your go-to, like you really enjoy that card. Maybe not
Ursula. It's got to be Ursula Deceiver, like the two-drop Ursula.
That's a good one.
She's just so important. Like, and when I know we're going to be talking about rotation this episode, but I feel like you can't like that's one card that's like she needs to stay in the meta forever. She's so important.
I agree. I think that's a great card, and I think it's very well designed. For me, favorite card ever in the game is probably Set 1 Flynn Rider, the 2-drop. Charming Rogue, I think is his name, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm for sure one of them is Charming Rogue. I don't know if it's that one, but I think it is. Just being able to quest and make your opponent discard a card. It was just like such a huge play. I remember when Flynn Riders first came out, they were like $5 to get a Flynn Rider because everybody was jamming Flynn Riders. And then if I had to pick a follow-up just for nostalgia, it'd be the Cusco. Set 1 Cusco. I think.
No touchy.
Bro, at the time, that was like the unstoppable, like you can, like this guy's getting 3 no matter what, like he's not, there's nothing you can do about it.
So dirty.
Yeah,
so dirty.
He was great back in the day. So I love thinking about Set 1 days and all of that. So I want to talk a little about the meta, guys. I know this is not like a super meta podcast, but Set 8 is currently active and happening, and there were events happening all over the world. And before we talk about tournament results, I just wanted to ask, we could start with you, Gabe. Have you been playing any Set 8? And if so, what have you been enjoying? Have you been playing any specific decks? Talk to me about your Set 8 experience so far.
So so because I was planning to go to Charlie's, I was primarily playing 2 decks, deciding which one I was going to take. It was either going to be an aggressive version of Amber Steel, kind of similar to what we saw Kurt Spice play.
Sure.
Or I was going to run Emerald Amethyst, and I was going to do tempo. So I've been testing both of those decks, been putting them through the ringer. And I mean, it's interesting because I'm watching all of these people that are on YouTube, all of these influencers. I'm watching Harlan Sweet. I see Kurt Spice, and they're all migrating over to Amber Steel. So like Amber Steel is stealing some of these people that are known for other color combinations. So I have to ask myself, I have to ask myself, is Amber Steel tier 0, or are we still in a place where it can be solved? And so yeah, I think Amber Steel is kind of a big deal. I think it's annoying to deal with. I think that you have to factor that into your deck building. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of it, and I can see why people are gravitating towards it for sure.
Gabe, do you want to know why people are choosing that deck?
Please, enlighten me.
Because it's a good deck.
It's a great deck. It's a great deck.
Who knew?
There's just no question.
Stefan, I almost don't want to ask you. I just kind of want to skip you, but is there any specific decks that you might have been playing?
It's funny that you mentioned that. Since Set 8 came out for the last SSG event, the Rain of Jafar release event, I did end up playing an Amber Steel aggro list. Shout out to Mayor Madness. In traditional fashion, I had no deck built or submitted prior to the event.
Gabe and I mentioned this.
We were literally sleeving Stefan's deck for
because, like, you know, so like the interesting that comes with the production at SSG is that a lot of it has been on the fly. So up until 10 minutes prior to the deadline, I had assumed that I was taking over for production, and then my support for that role, you know, finally showed up. So I was like, all right, I'm playing. But yes, I did go with I think it was his aggro songs list.
Yep.
Only because a lot of the new cards resonated with me very well. The new 3-drop Lady is probably one of the best cards in the set, hands down. Should have been a legendary. And it synergizes so well with a lot of other 2-drops. You know, you've got Doc. You've got the Prince 0-5 Bodyguard. You've got Smeeze. Like it just, there's not one bad card to play along with Lady, even if it's just one of your 1-drops. And you know, traditionally aggro has been very well in the start of new sets because people are still trying to find out, you know, the even though they may be familiar with their ink color pairings, but the new additions to the cards, when to play them, and kind of when to counter and stuff like that. So it felt really good. I had a super strong start. I felt really confident in my choice up until round 4, which was my ultimate demise.
Yeah, the wheels. That's how I started at Set Champs also. It was 2-0. I was like, ooh, I beat Jack 2-0. I'm feeling good. And then just fell off the cliff. So it'd be like that. But still, you know, for somebody who hasn't gotten to really you know, have any cardboard combat in a while, you've been kind of in behind the scenes. I think you did a great performance, and you even got to play on camera, which was cool. So yeah, and as far as myself, very much like Gabe, I think my 2 favorite decks right now are definitely green purple. I haven't quite decided on a variant yet, but I'm leaning kind of away from discard. I like the discard deck, but I think I'm leaning more towards tempo. I just think it's very well positioned right now. And I know Artibax kind of has the same feeling. I was watching their Articast today, and they were talking a little bit about even a green-purple control deck, which plays like Maleficent Staffs and bounces stuff, and just a really cool concept. So I love to see people still exploring, even though, you know, green-purple is mostly known for being either aggressive or discard variant. So seeing a control variant, very cool concept. And I think Maleficent Staff is going to be a real card post-rotation, guys. I think that card's going to be very live, even though we lose Kit. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of that. But I think getting into the meta and just kind of deciding what decks are the best right now, you'll notice that none of us picked Green Steel. And I feel like Green Steel was on everybody's radar when this set was being announced. Beyond the Horizon was being screamed from the rooftops about how this card is totally cracked and needs to be banned, and it's worse than a whole new world. And I think I heard it all. And obviously, there's still a lot of room for the meta to develop, and that card still could be a huge problem in time. But right now, doesn't look like Green Steel is, you know, performing as well as one would think. Obviously, had a great showing at our SSG event, the Reign of Jafar release event. But now we're looking at a lot of tournaments, and it seems like Green Purple's doing very well. Obviously, Amber Steel has been pretty much everywhere with the new addition of, you know, having Mr. Hamster Ball.
Hamster Ball.
So Rhino's been absolutely insane. So yeah, I think that deck got a lot of new tools, as Stefan mentioned, Lady being a huge addition to that. So yeah, I think that deck's going to continue to be a big problem. Whether or not it's tier 0, as Gabe mentioned, or whether there will be you know, an answer to it, I think time will tell. I think Amethyst definitely has the best option to, with the foxes and the crabs to kind of fight back on these aggro strategies. But as far as which Amethyst deck, is the best for the job, remains to be seen. I know some people are brewing red purple with the new Hades, which is a really cool card. Have you guys seen the Hades variants? I know Ray's messing around with it.
I haven't played against it in person, but on paper it looks great, and I look forward to watching some results to see if it can perform well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know about any of that stuff, but I look like Hades right now. We all look like Hades.
Fair enough, Gabe.
Great.
Thank you. Fair enough. You look like not upset Hades. You're cool Hades right now. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
It's a 7-drop uninkable, so I didn't think it was going to be all that great. But when it comes in, it deals 2 damage and lets you draw 2 cards, and then it just plays a bunch of 1/3s and 1/4s, like Queen of Hearts and all that kind of stuff. The Ursula that's like Prince Eric, the 1/3 that gets Challenger, so like those kind of cards, and then it just pings stuff. And it also plays the Medusa that bounces. I don't know if you guys have seen. It's kind of like a Cloud Kicker. It deals 2 damage to something and then bounces something 2 costs or less back to the hand. So
yeah, I did see that. I saw some conversation on that card last week showing about the timing on the effects of that. You can theoretically deal 2 damage to any card, and the card gets bounced before the damage is dealt. So
because it doesn't say opponent, it just says chosen character.
Well, not necessarily. It could be any character, but the way the card is read can be very confusing, and we can definitely double check on this. But if I read it correctly, I think Googly Glimmers responded on a Facebook thread mentioning that the damage happens, then or sorry, I apologize. The bounce, like the damage happens, then the bounce, and then the game state check, which checks for any damage on a character beyond the willpower that gets banished. So the character will not get banished because it's already in your hand.
It's kind of like Storm Rage on Diablo. Like the full effect has to resolve before the damage actually like resolves on the character. That's interesting.
And those kind of things are really important to know when you're facing a deck like that, or even playing a deck like that, because those can really impact some critical lines of play. If you don't understand the timing of how damage is dealt and the game state check. So, when in doubt, always consult to your comprehensive rules based on timing, because that, could make or break a really good run for you at a big event.
Yeah,
for sure. So just wanted to touch a little bit about that. I think we're all in agreement that, Amber Steel is definitely quite powerful right now, and Green Purple, I think, has been having some other great results, whether it be tempo or discard. So whichever way you want to lean on that, I think there's good builds for both. And then obviously you still have a lot of room for these rogue decks, Purple Steel, red blue, red purple. All these decks are still there. And I think there's still a lot of room to grow, and to Blurple as well. So I think there's a lot of room for innovation still, and I hope this is not just a Rhino meta. I hope we figure out something to make it a little easier. So our next segment and our last segment for the day, and I thought it would be a little fun. I wanted to call this like Will It Rotate, which is kind of like Will It Blend, but Gabe came up with a better name. It's called Hot Rotato. Hot Rotato, I think it's a much better name.
Put this guy in front of the marketing efforts.
So to explain our Hot Rotato game, for those of you who don't know, A Whole New World was just announced that it will officially be rotating. I know many thought that see you later, sayonara, will not miss you. No tears for that card. So that card officially rotating. And a lot of people said that, because it was a promo, it was going to stick around. But obviously that ended up not being the case, as Rochelle did confirm that, even though it's a promo, it's connected to the set that the card came from. Therefore, that set will be rotating. So see you later, alligator. So because of this, and obviously that's a very big card in the meta, I wanted to go through some cards that I think are also very impactful in the meta and get your guys' feedback, kind of go little by little. We don't have to say too much about it, but, just kind of go through and decide whether or not these cards will be rotated. And maybe we could look back on this when Fabled comes out and kind of see if we were right about any of these. But I'm going to go through them one by one. I have a small list here, and we'll start with Gabe, and we'll kind of go around the room and kind of give our piece on it. So first card that I want to know if you think will rotate is set 1 Rapunzel. Let's start with you.
Yes, I would say, given the tools that we have now for Amber, there is no better draw engine than Rapunzel in Amber, in my opinion. And unless there's going to be some card that does something close to that, it needs that draw to be strong. So I'm going to say, with what we know now, I say that it stays. I say Rapunzel's still part of it. It's still going to be part of this meta after we rotate.
Stefan?
So if the and forgive me because I don't recall the first name, but the other Madrigal that heals and draws
Dolores?
a card, is it Dolores?
No, it's not Dolores. It's
No, it's the mom. What's her name?
Mom Madrigal.
Julieta.
Julieta. That's
because
the one.
Julieta also rotates out. If she was staying in, I would say for sure Rapunzel's out. But because she will also be rotating out, Amber's identity when it comes to card draw, and especially if they're going to be losing a whole new world, I think hands down Rapunzel has to stay in. And it's not even being like a bias towards Amber Steel. I just think that what other draw do they have without, theoretically speaking, without Rapunzel or Whole New World? Like it just, I think it's a critical card for multiple archetypes for Amber Steel, both aggro and like mid-range songs.
And Amber Ruby, like Monty's deck, that's a big
key
component there too. Hey,
it's
I'm saying, if you're playing Amber, you're playing Rapunzel. Like that's pretty much
100%
down to
fair.
it, so.
Fair. I was just taking a little dig at him, but yes, if you're playing Amber and you're not playing Rapunzel, you might be playing the wrong deck.
For sure. I'm gonna be devil's advocate. I don't think they're gonna reprint Rapunzel. I think we might get. I think we might get some form of different Rapunzel. Maybe not as cracked. Maybe it does one or the other and not both, or something. We also have. I don't know if it's rotating. Is the 0/6 rotating? The one that heals whenever you remove a damage, she draws a card.
That is in Floodborn, so it should be rotated.
It should also
it'll be rotated out. Okay. Yeah.
I was trying to think if there's another Rapunzel that draws cards that maybe is post rotated, but I'd have to look through the card list. But I don't think it's going to be rotated. I don't think it's coming back. I think that it's an incredibly strong card. It's obviously been a card that's an auto shoe in every Amber deck, and I think that Ravensburger wants to break the cycle, break the mold. I don't think they want to see the same decks. I think part of the fun of rotation is to shake up everything and let those decks exist in infinity. But I think they want to give Amber Steel maybe a whole new identity. Who knows? So personally, I could definitely, if on this list, I think it's one of the ones that absolutely could be reprinted. Like if I had to lean towards whether or not, I'm going to say no. But if it was, I could justify like, okay, like that makes sense that it got reprinted.
Yeah.
So
also, it's good to note too that a lot of the reflection that people will assume is that reprints are only from set 1. They can be from sets 1 through 4. So we could see Julieta get reprinted and no Rapunzel.
Sure.
I didn't think about that till just now. So that it could happen, and again, it would rein in the power a little bit. But again, I think Skinner, you're right. Changing the identity of ink pairings is definitely a unique approach. I'm for it. I've even said, like, a lot of people are saying, haha, your deck is dead and constructed once rotation. Like, okay, and I'll play something else.
Play that in infinity and then play something else in rotation.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want to play the same deck until the end of time. I mean, you don't want to just play Amber Steel into like 10 years from now. Like there has to be new decks, and it keeps the game fresh.
And just like I mentioned before with SSG, like I just appreciate the challenge, right? I think that's the beauty about the rotation, is that it challenges you to think differently.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be good for the market too, because you'll have like cards that are expensive because they're good and constructed, and then you'll have cards that are expensive because they're good in infinity. So I think overall it's going to be a very interesting time. But getting on to the next card here, and I think this one is going to be pretty unanimous here. Prince John, and
get him out of here.
We'll still start with Stefan. We'll go backwards this time. So Stefan, talk to me about Prince John.
So I actually would not mind if Prince John stood in.
Blasphemous.
I'm gonna flip this table.
You're uninvited from the podcast.
Only if he received the same treatment as Bucky. I really think one of the more frustrating mechanics of the game right now, and I'm not saying this as a dig on the game development in general, but Ward is really really tough. I mean, if you look at a traditional Emerald Steel deck, how many of the characters are Ward that are super problematic? You've got Muses, you've got Prince John.
These are all, and what's in common with these cards, much like Bucky, is that they have an effect that does not require them to be exerted.
Exactly.
Therefore, it makes them incredibly hard to deal with, and they almost just sit there unless you're playing that color that can magically get rid of them. But if you're not, they just permanently sit there like artifacts or enchantments in Magic. They just sit there and play, and they just keep getting benefits. So I feel like they've done a better job lately with cards like Kita that are warded, but they're only warded in a sense that you're going to get that effect at least once, right? Like you're the new Goofy that provides ward when he quests, all these kind of things. It requires you to expose the character in order to, benefit from its effect, which I think is fair. I think at the beginning they were just putting ward on anything that they thought was cool. And clearly it made for some really, terrible card design and a really unfun mechanic, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people can share that sentiment. So, I agree with you. Ward, too powerful. I could see that card not coming back. I don't think it's coming back. I personally think it's on the chopping block, but I could see maybe a version of that card still existing that maybe doesn't have Ward. Maybe it's a different card altogether, but I don't think we'll see Prince John in its current form in rotation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Mr. Gabe?
It is a rotate out and ban that thing in Infinity. I don't care. Get rid of it. Burn it with fire.
I do think, just to touch on it real quick before we get to the next card, I do think it gets banned in Infinity at some point. I think it might not be now, it might not be in a year, but at some point that card is just going to have
two sets. I'm calling it in 2 sets.
It's going to be like Magic. There's just, as cards keep coming out, there's just going to be too much of a card pool, and I think it gets to a point where that card is just not able to exist in the game. But we'll see. Who knows? I mean, we'll have to see what happens. But next card, it's actually multiple cards. So Mim package, and I say Mim, but I also mean Merlin, like the Merlin Mim package. So Snake, Fox, Crab, Rabbit. Talk to me, Gabe. What do you think?
Yeah, so I don't think it's particularly powerful anymore given the tools that we have. But I think to the point that you were making earlier, it's like the identity of Amethyst. And I think it's time to change that identity. So I think it's gone, not because it's powerful. It could have stayed. It would have been fine. I just think that like bounce has been the thing that Amethyst has been known for. Let's make it something new. You can tell in the dual color, they kind of want Amethyst Ruby to be like the damage to get a benefit color. So maybe that's kind of the new identity. And so for that reason, I'd say it's out. But it could come back like in a year or two, and I think it'd be fine.
Sure. Stefan?
I'm totally down for if any of them have to rotate out. I'd love to see Rabbit stick around. I think Rabbit plays into Amethyst's identity outside of Bounce Package, continuing to generate card draw throughout the game. Sure, was super impactful with the ability to bounce it, but given that you'll play it, draw, and then when it's removed from play, you'll also draw, I think that's still very fair, and I think that's appropriate. If we don't have any other Amethyst options for drawing, like let's see, we'll still have the 0/1 Diablo.
Friends has to get reprinted. Friends is not on my list, but Friends has to come back. I think. We could add that one to the list if you want, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's if we're focusing mainly on the package, I'd say I would love to see Rabbit stick around, but the rest I'd be okay with rotating out.
So I can't see them keeping one and not the others personally. I think like it'd be kind of weird flavor if they just had like one random bounce card, but then like no cards to really bounce it around, like the package just isn't there. So I don't think we're gonna see any of them come back. I think one of the main cards, if I had to pick one, actually I wouldn't pick Rabbit, as crazy as that sounds, and Fox is crazy. I mean, they're all crazy, but I think Crab is the one I'll miss the most. I think Crab now,
Crab is so good.
He's just been an absolute powerhouse in every way, shape, and form. Every time I played him, he's always good. He just creates these good trades out of nowhere always, and the fact that you get the ability in and out is like incredible. Yes, but there is a new card, I'm forgetting the name off the top of my head. It is a woman, I believe she has gray hair. She's a 3-drop, and she quests for 2, but she gives Challenger +2 instead of Challenger +3. So it's almost like a Crab, but a more balanced crab. You don't get it on the way
is
out.
it Yolana?
Yolana or Yolanda or something like that. Yeah, that card. I think is like almost like a crab. So I think that shows that, you know, we have our crab effect in a more balanced light. So for those reasons, I think that we don't get the package again.
It's Yolana North Wildern Leader.
Yeah, and I'll put it on the screen so everybody can see Yolana. But yeah, that card I think is close enough to crab to tell me that we won't be getting crab back. And if we're not getting crab back, I can't imagine that we're getting any of the others. So, and like I said, identity, Gabe, you touched on it, and I touched on it. But yeah, the identity of the deck I think needs to change. So, Diablo, guys, we're talking 3-drop Diablo. We're talking the big bad wolf. What do you guys think? Starting with, we'll start with Gabe this time.
It stays, actually. A controversial opinion. I think it stays. I think Prince John is the issue, not Diablo. I think Diablo is a fine tool. There's plenty of answers. We've seen it now through the course of the last 2 sets, people claiming that Diablo's the big bad and it not actually converting into something. And it's such an important like lever of drawing for Emerald. Unless something comes out that basically replaces it, maybe something that's not evasive, that doesn't have to be exerted. I don't know, but I see Diablo staying, and that's my controversial take.
Okay, Stefan.
So another conversation to be had is that just because you assume that 3-drop Diablo stays in, does that necessarily mean the 1-drop Diablo comes back as well?
Mm-hmm.
So given that there will be a 1-drop Amethyst Diablo still available, plus whatever else, I think. Oh, and then you also have the dual ink Diablo. There will be options to shift Diablo. However, they won't be as soon as you typically could. Because of that, I am okay with Diablo staying in. You know, just as I'll spoil alert for another card that we'll be speaking on, but because it gets what we'll call the Cindy effect, essentially being able to do removal as soon as turn 2 with a specific song, it really can slow down your opponent. So I think that was one of the challenging parts about that card, but as long as there's appropriate removal for Diablo and that he's not as oppressive as like the Cinderella effect, I think he stays.
And I'll round out the controversy, and I think he comes back. I think also, you know, maybe it's just a triple hot take here, but I think Diablo's fine. I think he's an incredibly strong card, but I think we have enough evasives in the format to handle him. We will be losing Peter Pan, which is a little concerning. I feel like that card has been like a big reason why Diablo hasn't been able to run amok. He's a haster, or rather a rusher on turn 3, and he enables all these other cards to rush in and banish Diablo. So I'm curious, you know, if we'll get another answer that can deal with him right away besides like Brawl, which is also rotating. So who knows? But I could see Diablo coming back, and I agree with Gabe that it's you know, one of Emerald's main draw engines. And if they're not going to replace it with a different draw engine, I think that Diablo is just fine. So getting up to the next one, we're almost done here with our list. We're a little more than halfway, or about halfway. Be prepared. Be prepared. Obviously, a big one. I'm going to start on this one. I haven't started on any of them. I think Be Prepared comes back. I think that it's just a necessary evil. I don't want to say evil, but necessary card in the game. We cannot just let every deck be Cherno Dogs. Like, we just can't have a game where everybody just goes wide and you have 100 characters in play and they all quest, and then the combat is like 100 versus 100, and that's just not the way the game needs to go. I would hate to see that. So I think we just need a reset button in one way or another, and I think B Prep is one of the most iconic cards in the game, and I think it has to stick around. So what about you, Stefan?
B Prep is the bane of my existence, and it became a lot easier to deal with once we had things like Pete and Bare Necessities and stuff like that. However, again, being the realistic card player that I am, I understand that the need for a board wipe. I would love to see some innovation where we see the board wipe in a different ink color, but through different means. So like, imagine like a Be Prepared for Emerald that bounces all characters back to hand.
We have Milo, but he was never good, unfortunately.
Yeah. Or the same. Oh, I'm looking for like the same thing, like high cost. It could be a song. It could be not.
We have Under the Sea, which is, you know, not quite the same, but you know.
Right. And then you or like a Sapphire, like all characters and play go to the Inkwell or something like that. It would be super neat to see that, but if that's not down the pipeline, for some cards in future sets, um, Be Prepared coming back is totally fine, and I accept that fate.
For sure. Gabe?
Power line is going to be a Singer 7 according to the packaging,
Singer
and I
9.
think it.
Singer 9.
So my apologies, and I think it's so he can sing Be Prepared.
Yeah, he can
So
sing
I think
anything in the game.
survives. Yeah.
Yep, it's gonna be a beast, and yeah, I think we are unanimous on that one. Be Prepared, deserves
you
a
could say
spot.
that we're eye to eye. We all see eye to
When we
eye.
listen to each other's hearts.
Anyways, guys, next up on our list is a card that I'm sure will be extra sentimental for Mr. Stefan here, but One Drop Cindy, the bane of my existence. Turn 1 Cindy, turn 2 Storm Rage on.
God, I hate you, Cindy.
I'm gonna start again here. I'm gonna make it real quick. Get her out of here. Get her out of here. Get her on the first flight out of my life. No Cindy. I'm saying she does not get reprinted, and I'll be very happy for it. Whichever one of you can go now. We'll go Gabe, just to keep it organized.
Yeah, you care more about this than I do, Steph, so you can go last because you get to round that out. Bye, Boo. We're done with you.
Bye,
See you
Felicia.
later. Bye, Felicia. We loved you. You were fun, but now it's time to go. I'm ready for her to leave.
All right, Stefan, hit us.
So, again, just looking at current shift lines now, so we'll be losing Cinderella Stout-Hearted, which is one of my favorite shift lines for 1-drop Cinderella into the 5-drop or 5-cost shift. I again, the Cinderella effect. So she's a super impressive card, the same way how Shift Diablo is, the same way how the 3-cost Bell played off of breaking an item. She can go. As much as it's painful to say, she can go. I do not expect a card similar to her being reprinted for this rotation. But to be honest with you, I honestly don't know what to expect to replace her for 1-drop. With Robin Hood not popular right now, or actually rotating out as well. I'm very curious to see what 1-drop options Amber Steel has post rotation.
You have Daisy, man. Just like get over it, dude. You just keep Daisy. All right, you guys can have Daisy and just stop with the singing song.
I was trying to just cruise along without that being brought up, but I knew Skinner. He was like, "Wait a second, buddy."
No, you have Daisy, and that's enough. You can't have both. All right,
Fair.
guys. Getting to the next one. I'm gonna throw. This is kind of a weird one, but I thought this would be an interesting one as well. OG 8-drop Tamatoa, right? So we know a lot of decks have this Lucky Dime Tamatoa, super crazy deck where you just sit there for a million turns. Obviously, we have a new Tamatoa, which has also been making waves since it's been released. What are your thoughts? We'll start with Stefan on OG Tamatoa, big ol' 8-drop Tamatoa. Does he come back or not?
Why is kind of where I'm at right now. Like, there's just the impactful item that made Tamatoa what it was is rotating out as well. So Popsicle, I assume, again, this is all assuming,
right? Yeah, right. We don't
know. Like, what other cheap items that don't get banished on, by Bell, or that can be established without like silly Oswald tricks and stuff like that. It just, you don't get that same impact that you did with like Lucky Dime, and you wait, and like if you don't have an answer for either the Dime or Tamatoa, it's game over. So I don't see why he would come back, especially with his newest printing being absolutely bonkers.
Agreed. Mr. Gabe?
Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, you might argue that like Lucky Dime broke Tamatoa, being able to do these kind of crazy OTKs after building up 1,000 items. And then you also wonder, well, if Lucky Dime gets rotated out, then Tamatoa is more fair. So why wouldn't you? But then I'd be upset that Tamatoa gets a wasted spot that could be given to a better card. I'm kind of in the same boat. I think that, obviously we don't know what items they have planned for the next 4 sets, and that might be a factor as to why Tamatoa needs to stay. But I just don't see any reason why he even matters. I mean, he's too slow. He's going to be too slow in a format that doesn't have Lucky Dime. That's going to lose Fishbone Quill. That's going to lose a lot of stuff. So
I forgot about Fishbone Quill. Yeah, it's a big one. It's a lot of cards that are not even on my radar that I'm forgetting. Like, oh, that's right, this card's gone too. So, I think that he should go. I think that he's had enough time in the sun. I think that that deck, I don't mind it existing in Infinity, but I think that whole sit there for 100 turns and then lucky dime for 25 is that can be rotated in my opinion. So I'm gonna mix it up here and leave a different one for last. I know I have a different order here, but much like Be Prepared, I have Grab Your Swords on here. I think Grab Your Swords is another card that's been a mainstay since its first release. I think it's been up until now a necessary evil, but now we're getting cards like Bagheera, right? That when they're banished, they deal a bunch of damage, or cards like even like this 10-drop Mickey, which that crazy deck has been kind of floated around, and that deals 5 damage to everything. So with
or
all
Vincenzo.
Or Vincenzo, or Vinny, or no, Vinny is not 1 damage. Never mind, he's gained
3.
Ignore me. Yeah, I forget what I said. But yeah, there's a lot of cards that do it. Is the point I'm trying to make. So with that being said, do you think that we get Grab Your Swords back, Mr. Gabe? We'll start with you.
I think we do. I've been using it more because of the aggro, and you forget how important it is in certain meta. I mean, you could duplicate it and make some like variant of that, but I think Grab Your Swords is fine for a reprint, so I would say it stays. I think we get a reprint of Grab Your Sword, and it's Grab Your Sword, not swords, people.
Singular, one sword,
one single sword.
You can't dual wield, just one. Mr. Stefan, hit me.
So my hope, and actually, wait, now I'm thinking about it. Mob Song, that was Ursula's return, right?
You're killing me.
I think it was sure. Ursula's return.
I know it's an old one, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking like if that was supposed
it's
to
Ursula's
be
return,
the Grab Your Sword replacement, then I'm gonna feel really bad for Steel players. But given the fact that that's rotating out, no. I'd love to see Grab Your Sword back in. But if we see an answer to widespread damage by the means of Mob Song, it's gonna feel really bad because I think it's a Singer 9 and it's choose, right? So like you can't get around ward. So like again, Grab Your Sword is really impactful, and again, if aggro is the route for Fabled Core Constructed, I think Grab Your Sword needs to stay or something equivalent to it.
For sure. I'll make it quick. I think Grab Your Sword's definitely a necessary evil. However, I could see them. Obviously, this is going to be a pretty big nerf, but I could see them making a non-song version, maybe like a version that you have to pay for, and you can't just sing it off a character. I don't know if that would nerf it too hard. But I would like to see some of this removal like not be songs, not be free. Yeah. It would be nice.
So the cool thing to note is that one of the most impactful plays in set 1 was establishing a Tinkerbell and using her to sing Grab Your Sword. So that's 3 damage across the
unbeatable combo.
So she's coming back. She's confirmed reprinted. So I mean, we can expect if Grab Your Sword comes back, that might be the play again.
Sure. Kind of coming back to where it all started for sure. And then the last card, I think this is just a special one, which isn't seeing a ton of play right now, but I'm asking it because it's such an iconic card, and I'm wondering if you guys will think it will come back in some way, shape, or form. But let's talk about 8-drop Elsa, right? So one of the most iconic
Spirit
cards,
of Winter.
Iconic cards from set 1, obviously one of the most, it is the most expensive enchanted in the game. Yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think we get Elsa back? We've seen most of the D23 characters get reprinted already from the promo pack that came out at forever ago at Gen Con, was it, or D23? D23? Yeah. Gen Con? I forget which one it was. The special promos that have Maleficent Dragon and Cruella and all that. Most of those cards are being reprinted. So, I'm curious about your thoughts. What do you think? Elsa, Spirit of Winter, is she coming back?
I think she's too iconic not to come back. I feel like Elsa is, of course, like such a special character. She's the most expensive enchanted. She's not, I mean, she's powerful. She's a good card, but she's not broken. She's better in certain deck formats. So it's not like her existing is going to mess up the meta in any way. We've seen her exist the last 8 sets and be just fine. I say she comes back just because of the star power of Elsa, the weight of how expensive that enchanted is, and to potentially maybe have some more alternate art of this really iconic card in the game. I say she survives. There's just I can't imagine a world where they rotate her out.
Stefan?
So I'm in Disneylorcana. I'm a huge fan of tempo swings, right? I think that's what makes the game really have that like back and forth. And with the ability, if you play the right tempo swing at the right point of the game, like you could really break serve, and I think Elsa 8-drop does that. Um, Someone who's unprepared to deal with that, uh, it it can be really nasty because not only do you get
Backbreaking.
exactly like you because they're characters that, like, let's say they had game, and you established an 8-drop Elsa, you still have another turn to figure out what to do, whether it's by the means of challenging. Like it answers a lot and at a respectable 8 cost. So I think she comes back. I think it would be super awesome to hear some of your suggestions. Like it would be nice to see like some of these enchanteds, if they do get reprinted, alternate artworks of them. Uh, maybe we're already seeing it with the Maleficent, for example, right? For the set champs. Um, we could see something like that down the road too. Like it's just the possibilities are endless.
Quite insane if they did that. I think it'd be very, very sought after, and wow, I can't even imagine the possibilities of that. I think it could come back. My only concern is, like, I don't know how many legendaries we're reprinting in Fabled, and I kind of don't want that to be a slot for Amethyst personally. It might be fine. I think the card can exist. I don't think it's like, too powerful or anything like that. I'm just concerned, I don't want to print too many just nostalgia cards that are not necessarily index or playable just for the sake of nostalgia. Like, I want to make sure they're cards that I think are worthy of a reprint, and I'm hoping they don't want, like, I don't want them to just, for lack of a better word, just reprint a bunch of junk, right? Just like, oh, you reprinted all these cards that you've never played with and never will, and now they're back.
That's how I'd like to show you my friend Honey Wizard.
Exactly. I mean, that's iconic for the art, so I'll let it slide. But yeah, cards like that, like, I don't know. I'd rather see them print a bunch of playable cards, but I do think Elsa could survive, and obviously she's iconic. So I think, if they do reprint her, she deserves it. So I'll be okay with it. So before we get to our outro, and I just want to give you guys one more around the table. Gabe, I didn't prepare this. This is on the fly, but do you have a card? And I think you mentioned one earlier, but a card that you could pick if you could have it be saved. You could save any card. This is like Survivor. You get to vote to save one of the people on the island. Preferably not one that we talked about. Do you have a card that you're saving? Who are you voting for?
Well, I've already talked about Ursula Deceiver, so
you can stick with that one if you like. I think that's a great one.
So we can stick with that one. But if I want to follow the rules and choose one that I got to go with Strength of a Raging Fire. I would save Strength of a Raging Fire.
Okay,
love that card.
You didn't say Storm Ray John, so I'll allow it.
Yeah,
Storm Ray John is gone.
That card is super gone.
Guarantee it.
That card, I can't even see where that card is anymore. That card has been gone. Stefan, what card do you save? Who you saving on the island?
If we lose 1-drop Cindy, Singer 3, I would love to see 2-drop Ursula, Singer 4 stick around. Oh no, actually, I think
Troubadour.
Troubadour. Never mind. Let me think of another one on the fly. Ariel. 3-drop Ariel. I would love to keep her around. I have a strong feeling she's not sticking around.
No, she's got to go.
But
she's insane.
The replacements for her have been not as yeah, but again, I respect it. It's if we're trying to change ink identities or trying to reel back on some power, Ariel was a fantastic card, and especially if you curved out Cinderella, Ursula, play Ariel, find the removal, and just control the game. Like, again, I get it and I respect it
for sure. And then I'm gonna wrap it up. We did mention earlier, but I'm gonna use it anyway. I don't care. Friends on the Other Side. Friends on the Other Side, I think is
iconic
Amethyst card. I love villains. Cool villain. I have, by the way, if you guys haven't seen, I have a giant Dr. Facilier tattoo on my arm. I love Dr. Facilier. I love the flavor of him. I love the song. I think, it's obviously a staple for a reason. It draws you 2 cards, obviously a great effect. So I see it coming back. I think it's one that has to come back. If they didn't, I'd be very sad. And I'd feel like all these Steel players when they lost Whole New World. So I don't want to feel like that, Aunt Ravensburger. So please reprint Friends on the Other Side. Thank you. So while we wrap things up, I'll let you start the plugs and the shout outs, Stefan. Anybody you want to plug?
The South Florida Lorcana Network has been a backbone of my success in Lorcana. From the early starts with Skinner and Ronald up until where we are now, with just like you mentioned, Gabe, Mikey, Hector. Like we all honestly, there's no other term to describe it other than like what it feels like, a brotherhood, right? Without going into too much details, a very close person to us had something go on, and we we can look past the competition that comes with the game, set champs, DLCs, crap talking between each teams and stuff like that, and like really be like, we're here for each other. And when the news broke yesterday about things that happened at SSG, everybody checked in on me, whether it was this from the South Florida Lorcana network, on Twitter. Like I had so many people reach out, and it just made me feel something that I had been seeking for quite some time when it came to fulfillment, when it, with the production or with, Lorcana in general. I always make the joke, like a lot of people think this is just like a silly card game, but for some of us, like it has created bonds and friendships that I will talk about years to come. So, thank you, all of you. I hope that you do stick around for the podcast and what I can bring here, and the work that I will continue to bring to the South Florida Lorcana Network and any store that's looking to partner with us for future initiatives. I'd be happy to talk and talk shop all day. I enjoy Lorcana. I enjoy the business aspect of Lorcana. I enjoy the community building for Lorcana. Like pretty much, I enjoyed not only the game but the things beyond the game. I'll talk your ear off if you let me. So
no, if you're good. And where can the people find you?
So you guys, I'm usually most active on Twitter. I have a bunch of underscores because someone stole my original name, but
I'll make sure we link it all below, so it'll all be listed. But yeah, just a general.
Yeah, for sure. So just you can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm always hanging out in the South Florida Lorcana Network Discord. So if you don't have an invite there, I'm sure Skinner will post a link in the show notes, so that way you can join. Just because it says South Florida doesn't necessarily mean that it's exclusive to South Florida. We've grown beyond that. We have a ton of members.
It's just formed in South Florida. Yeah. It's a hub, but it's open invitation, guys. So whoever wants to be part of it, we're more than happy to have you.
Come through. You're gonna just see a bunch of people who love talking about the game, and even some other games too. Like we're excited about some other games that are coming out. Some games that are
you could say Riftbound. It's okay.
Okay. So yeah,
we're all excited. Gabe is the only one that doesn't know what's going on, but he's excited without knowing that he's excited for Riftbound.
We just got to get him into a league game first.
No, he just needs to watch Arcane, dude. He's telling me the first episode is slow.
It's a little slow.
Gabe,
it's a little slow.
What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
But anyways.
No, for sure. Thank you, every single one of you. You've made my interesting career in Disneylorcana much more interesting every day.
Thank all the people I always thank. So there's that. I'm not going to repeat that, but thank you all for those of you. And Mike, thanks again for the jersey. I got to throw that out there. Huge shout out to the team, the Illuminati. Of course, you can find us on Illuminati TCG. We are actually, we've been posting, we've actually started doing some videos on Twitch, just like gameplay videos. We'll be using that a little bit more. We have the Illuminati TCG YouTube as well. Freddie just posted what he likes to call the naughty list. It's a red-green deck, Christmas naughty list. Get it? But a lot of, see, it's cute. It's funny.
I get it.
Good. I'm glad. Good. It's naughty list because it's a discard deck. So you got to check it out. Lots of fun. But yeah, check us out. Illuminati TCG on YouTube, Illuminati TCG on Twitch, and you can go and follow me on X. Down below, the link will be there. It's ill_Gabe or ill_Logics, whichever you care to put in there.
For sure. And obviously, you guys can find me at First to 20 on YouTube or X. Everything will be linked down below. And obviously, if you want to write to us down in the comments below, we're all here as well. So you're more than welcome to go ahead.
Hold on, just real quick, folks. We want questions. We want to be able to answer questions. Put some questions in the chat, or in the whatever, the thing down below, the comment section.
Mm-hmm.
Put some questions. We want to be able to answer some questions.
For sure. Yeah, we'd love to have a question section. And just be able to talk to the people in the comments as well. So if you guys want to drop any questions, I agree with Gabe. I'm sure we would love to answer those on our next episode. And just thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you being around. I think I'll let you guys go. So thank you guys again for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, ink responsibly. Later, everybody.
Do it. Take care, everyone.